God bless everybody. You're excited tonight. Welcome to The Pulse. I have with me one of my dear friends. I call him Mr. Everywhere, Bob Price. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me
man.
here. Thank you very much.
You are an amazing guy. You're everywhere, man.
I do my best.
You
Be
really are.
involved in
I see you almost everywhere we go.
Involved in a lot of different events in the community, different organizations in the community. So yeah, they call the Pittston Paparazzi for doing pictures everywhere.
Everywhere. I turn around, there he is. And it's always by surprise because I'm never aware that you're in the area, and I turn around and you're like, you take the picture, and it's so amazing. But you help a lot of people, Bob. You know?
I'm involved in a lot of different organizations.
You are, and even the things you're not involved in, you're just kind of hands-on for people. You're just that kind of guy. Things that it doesn't really. Bob's a guy. It doesn't have to be about him.
No,
you know, and he just comes in and whatever he can do. You're very community-oriented. Where does that come from?
Just a strong sense of community and involvement, seeing what people need and trying to get out there to help them a little bit. My son's very into politics, into the community and everything. Set an example for him.
Now, how old is your son?
15.
15. Very into politics.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Can have a very long discussion with any
anybody.
judge or politician that there is out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So. And so I asked you to be on the Pulse because I wanted to find out a little bit more about you. First of all, I saw you everywhere. You just popping up here, then popping up there, popping up there. Your son was with us for our opening of our Matthias Bible Academy, and that was exciting. But now I hear that you're running for office.
Yes, I am.
Tell the audience a little bit
I'm
about
running
that.
for council this time around in DuPont. The election will be November 7th. And running for a council seat. There are 3 seats open, and hopefully I plan on filling one of them. There again, just taking it to the next step with the community, getting involved, hoping to influence the future as far as the town and the area and that goes, and see what good I can do for people.
You're an amazing guy because of the fact that you are so hands-on. Like, you really, Bob's an individual that you don't take anything kind of from a mundane approach. If you're doing it, you gotta do it. That's the type of guy you seem to be.
That's just my personality. It's pretty much, if you're gonna go in, go all in.
Right.
Something needs to be done, get it done. Whatever you need to do to make it happen, whatever connections you need to use to get people together, organize people, organize events, get in there and get it done. And I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty and get in the middle of it.
Definitely not afraid to get your hands dirty.
We've demonstrated a few times.
Yes. Speaking of organizing things, tell me a little bit about the event that you just organized recently.
We just had our centennial in DuPont. It's actually the 100th anniversary of DuPont. It was formed in 1917. And to kind of culminate into an event be remembered for the next 100 years, we had a 2-day party in town. Bands, music, food, and all different activities in that for the kids and for the community.
Now, when you say a 2-day event, most people did not think you guys would be able to pull off that size event that they didn't oppose you, but they just thought it was far-fetched, the scale in which you were going for. And tell us about the outcome and tell us about how it came together.
Initially, people told me it was way too much, it was way too ambitious to get into. My theory on the whole centennial for the year, because we've been having events throughout the year and we're going to continue to have them to the end of the year.
Right.
My theory has been go big or go home.
Exactly.
We're going to make this something to be remembered for the next 100 years, and a 2-day event is something that's definitely going to get it there.
And it went big.
It went very big. It went very big. We had crowds both days. We had a lot of different activities. We had a lot of different people there. Everybody I've heard nothing but good compliments. We had a 5K run, first time that's been done in DuPont. We had cowpie bingo. We had bands. We had the stage set up from thanks to Pittston City. Bands for 2 whole days with music, entertainment, activities, crafts, vendors. We pretty much locked down a 1-block area and had activities going on for 2 solid days.
Now, I know you had a lot of volunteers and different people that put their hands on it, but you were the brain behind making that happen.
I was the one that organized it. I was the one that kind of managed it from the backfield and that. I got involved in all of it, and I was there for every inch of it, but I tried to do more from the guidance of it and just kind of get people organized, see what needed to be done, get them to where they needed to be, and just kind of keep everything running, keep everything moving forward.
That's awesome. Bob is a very, very, very humble guy, but Bob was really involved, like so hands-on, like every single aspect. And for my viewers that watch the Pulse, this is why I want us to know, as a viewing audience, I want you to know not just what's happening in the community, I want you to know who's doing it. I want you to know who's doing it. I mean, like really getting their hands on it. And Bob, that's you. And I appreciate your humility, I really do. But I watched you in everything that you've done because I've been following you for a while now. But this event was just, it was a monster of a task, and you made it work.
It definitely was. It was a far bigger thing than I've ever been involved in and I've ever planned before. To try to get a 2-day event sponsored over a town to try to commemorate a centennial. I've been involved in a lot of organizations and a lot of events, 1-day events, half-day events in that over the years. Try to do a 2-day was quite a bit. And just to give you, as you said, with hands-on with the entire event, when it was over Saturday night, Saturday into Sunday, my phone keeps track of how far you walk. It was 7.2 miles on Saturday alone, just going back and forth between everybody at the event to keep everything running. So.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Because you're hands-on. And that's the type of people that we need in our world. We need a world where people are not just delegators, but initiators. That's the world that God is calling for, I believe. And that's the world that I think the community really wants. I mean, they want someone who's not just pointing the finger, but they're pointing the way. Anybody can point the finger, and not everybody can point the way. You're a lead by example guy, and I like that, and I think that's commendable.
That's what I try to do. I mean, I'll get involved in everything. I'll do whatever it has to be done, needed to be done, but I want to get everybody involved in it. I want to get the whole community involved in it. With the Centennial or with the other events that I'm involved with, it's not, and as you said, I'm humble with that side of it. I don't look for the limelight for it.
No, you don't.
But at the same point, I want everybody to get out there and enjoy it and have a good time and experience it and get involved with the community.
So when it comes to the seat that you're aiming for now, and this is the reason that I wanted Bob on more than, I don't think Bob really approached me, I approached him, because I want people to know that this is what you do. When I say this is what you do, I'm not talking about organizing events or whatever. I mean that whatever he commits himself to, he really gets involved in. So it's not like a passive thing, okay, yeah, I want to do this and make a name for myself. No, it's really none of that type of scenario. It's just, hey, I think this is a worthy thing to do. And when Bob Price gets involved, he really gets involved, and that's commendable. And I'm very excited for the area where you live, DuPont, and to see them get or gain such an asset to the seat. That's going to be exciting for DuPont.
Oh, thank you. And that's what I plan on doing with this, and what I want to do if I am elected. Get hands-on with it. Get to know the people. Get to know the issues. Something needs to be done. There again, jump in the middle of it and get it done. We have a good government. We have a good council now. We have a great small town. Very well run. We haven't raised taxes in a lot of years.
Absolutely.
A lot of services provided in the community. We need to keep that going, but we need to expand into the future too. We need to have guidance onto the next 100 years.
Well, I think the event that you just did sparked something new over there. I think it opened up the possibilities that being a little small town, we're not really that small. I think that was the image that the impression that you left upon people in DuPont. Like, hey, we can do some pretty nice things that some of the bureaus and cities around us or whatever have done, and we can be just as successful in those areas. And that's, I believe, the dynamic that you're looking to bring.
Yes, let's continue the community, and that's what we talked about. We just had a meeting last night with the Progress Committee of the Planet Centennial, and we want to continue that into next year, continue it into future years. It's not just going to be a flash and be done in a year. Right. We're not doing an event a month like we did this year because it's going to be way too much, but some of the events that were really successful, we want to continue that. Keep the community going.
How long did it take you to plan that event?
We've been doing this now for about 2.5 years. It started off with a discussion of having a dinner and something to celebrate the centennial. Right. Possibly a parade. We'll see if we could do something. And as the community got together, as the committee got together, as we started to pass around ideas and make it grow, we've had an event a month or almost every month for the entire year. We're going to continue that through the rest of the year. And we had the 2-day party to remember for the next 100 years.
Wow. And that 2-day, from conception, from the time that you brought it to their attention to the time you did it, how much time passed?
About 2.5 years. We've been planning this from the beginning of well, it expanded into 2 days after probably about a year.
Right.
We decided to grow a little bit further with it, but we've been planning the entire year-long event for 2.5 years now.
And that's what it takes, is that right?
Exactly, and that's why we wanted to start it early. You need to get something like that. You can't just decide, hey, let's do this next Friday.
Right.
When you got to get as many people involved and as many different communities involved, and we had people from different communities come to help us. We had different bands and everything from outside the area come in to help us. We had vendors from outside the area come in to help us.
Yes.
If you're going to organize something that big, you have to plan ahead of time, organize all that, and have everybody on the same page so that that day it rolls smoothly, or you're going to have chaos.
And we're not just talking about doing the event. We're talking about doing the event with a purpose behind the event, and that is to cultivate the people to be involved and to have more passion for where they live and the community and the government that moves and shapes their the decisions in that area. That's all a part of that 2-year and further down the line planning. Is that right?
That's it. We want to have it so that the community feels that sense of community.
Right.
And I
right.
did get that comment from people from outside the area that attended it, that it seemed like a very nice small town community.
A place you
Everybody
wanna
was
live.
friendly.
Yeah.
It wasn't walking by and saying hi and keep
Yeah.
it going. Everybody was willing to talk and hang out and enjoy the music and enjoy the camaraderie between people. And it just was a great sense of community. It brought everybody together
Right.
from the community all over DuPont, down to one place. People that hadn't seen each other in a lot of years got together and talked, sat down, listened to the music, had some food, and it was just overall, it was a good community event.
Now I know you're always hands-on, you're all over the place. Did you get a chance to enjoy the event at any point?
Oh yeah, I did get to sit down, listen to the music for a little while. I got to visit with a lot of people as I walked around,
That's
talk to
surprising.
everybody.
I would
so.
not imagine that.
I paused once and every now and then for 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't imagine that you had a whole lot of time. Tell us about some of the things that you'd like to see if you do captivate this seat.
Well, number one, keep the community going. Keep the overall events in the community. Keep the government going as it is as far as providing the services and that the people need. Look to the future to see what other things we can do. Can we attract other businesses to the town? We want to keep the housing base the same as it is in town. Keep families moving there. You don't want to have a town full of rental properties and that and people from outside the area. It's a very close-knit town. Let's keep it that way. Have families move in. Provide services in that for the people. Have businesses move in, increase the tax structure so that we have the money to do the things that we want to do. And that's all part of the whole community idea.
Let's not assume that our audience understands what you're talking about in terms of some of the phraseology that you use. What makes the community strive? What makes a city, bureau, whatever, what causes it to strive and what causes it to die?
A couple things will work in both cases. If apathy is what will kill a community.
Okay.
If people just don't become active, don't come out and support the events, don't come out and support the government.
You guys hear that?
And
You've got to
just
be
let
active.
everything sit as normal. It'll eventually, just like anything that grows, it'll wither and die.
Absolutely.
What'll cause it to thrive? People being involved, the community being involved. Having people get involved in government, get involved in the school board, get involved in the businesses that in the area, supporting the local businesses. A lot of the towns, the downtowns have kind of dried up. DuPont has a core group of businesses that have been there for a long time. I'd like to see that expand, have more businesses downtown. Pittston, Duryea, Avoca, they're excellent examples of towns that have captured their downtown.
Yes.
You know, your department store days and everybody doing all their shopping downtown are over. That
Absolutely.
has left with the malls. But
Yes.
it's been proven you can have the small town atmosphere and people will come to do that. They'll come to see that.
Explain to the Pulse audience what it means to support your local stores and like your downtown, because your downtown, your main streets are like the pulse of your community. They affect the community in a number of different ways. What are the pros and cons to doing that? Because with the Pulse, one of the things I'm learning and sharing with our audience is that there are times when people just, they'll nod their head as if they understand these things. And I don't know if it's embarrassing or what it is to just say, I don't know, I'm not familiar. But these things, when we're talking about keeping taxes in a certain place and not raising this and not going through that, that's done by supporting those
Exactly.
communities, by supporting and making sure those businesses are striving there. Explain that a little bit for us,
Well,
if you could.
Your taxes are based upon the number of people living in your town and the number of businesses in the town.
Okay,
There's certain,
let's stop right there. So the taxes are based on what?
the number of people in the town,
How many
property
people
owners,
and property owners are in your town?
and the businesses themselves pay certain taxes in that too as part of their business. And that money goes back to support the town and the county and the state.
So if we have businesses in the city, then it offsets how much taxes we're going to end
Correct.
up having to
Correct.
pay. See, that's important. So when you go out and you decide, oh, I'm going to go to Walmart, and I'm not knocking against Walmart, but if you go to Walmart and get everything and you're not paying and helping, supporting your local environment, then you could see an increase that you caused inadvertently by just not supporting the local.
Well, and there again, your downtown living away.
And your downtown
Your
living
small,
away.
your Walmarts and that, if they have a bad month, they have a bad month.
It's not going to hurt them.
A small business needs that month-to-month revenue to stay alive and to stay
And a
flourishing.
bureau and a small
Right.
city does too.
Right, right.
Needs
So
the same thing.
the more influx there is into the area. And you brought up a good point too about people not understanding in that. And that's where people have to look at their government officials
Exactly.
and
That's
ask the
right.
question.
There you go.
Approach them. Okay, what are you trying to do with this? Why are you using this money for this? What's the purpose of this tax? What's the purpose? Approach your government officials, get involved with it, learn what you need and why things are going on. And that's one thing, and you know me well enough, I'm more than
absolutely.
approachable.
Oh, very,
And
very much so.
It's the same thing. If anybody has a question, talk to your
Ask them.
government officials and get there. Don't be, afraid to talk to people.
In terms of like town meetings, what are the attendance like in a general town meeting? Is it widely embraced? Is it a few regulars? What happens there?
It's pretty much, be it the council meetings, the organizations I'm involved with, it's the same core group of people that show up, not always the same, but it's the same core that goes to each of those group meetings. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, then you'll see
Then
people
you see
come out.
more people come out.
They'll come out while there's an issue, and then they fade back into
But we need you to start coming out before there's an issue.
be involved with everything, be involved with it before it happens, and then you'll know what's happening as it goes on, and you can help shape the future where things go.
Now, when you have those meetings and things, don't you project where the budget is going and
Oh, yes.
what's going on and how much is being spent for this and that? And they could ask questions at that time.
Oh, yes.
Okay, see, a lot of people know that, and then there are those who don't know, and there's them that know and don't really show up. But then there's those that don't know. And that's the reason why I created the Pulse and our ministry created the Pulse, because we want you to understand this is what we're doing and this is what's happening around you. And before you get upset with how it works, be a part of it.
You need to get involved, you need to ask the questions, you need to get out with people and ask your neighbors, ask your elected officials, ask the people around you.
Ask them to explain it.
Explain it. What does this mean? Why are we doing this? If nobody asks, even the officials have no idea if they're doing right, wrong, or indifferent because they're not getting input from people.
Right.
People have to talk to the officials, have to talk to their neighbors. Everybody come together and give their input to a community, to an organization, to a group. The more people, the more ideas that come around, and I'll go back to the Centennial, it's the perfect example of it. We started off, as I said, having a dinner and maybe a parade.
Right.
We've had 12 months worth of events. Where did that come from? People giving their ideas.
Exactly.
Well, how about this? Well, how can we make that happen?
Input.
Input from the people is how these things happen.
And so that's what you and I need to do. We need to put our, as we used to say in the world, put our 2 cents in.
Yes.
Come in, ask the right questions, or ask any questions. Any question is the right question. If you need to know the answer, then that's the right question. It doesn't make you, I'm not supposed to know carpentry if I'm not a carpenter. I'm not supposed to know politics if I'm not a politician. But you can ask the carpenter.
Right.
You have access to the politician. So you don't have to be astute in all the areas, but you do have access. You do have access and you can ask, and you guys are very approachable.
And that's the thing. You have to go out and ask the questions of your elected officials, ask the questions of people in town. Don't be afraid don't just sit in the background.
Right.
You got to be out there and actually doing things and helping people and asking the questions and get involved. There's things in the community, there's organizations in the community that always need help. Get involved in some of them and get yourself out there. You'll know what's going on, and you'll have a good sense of community too if you're out there actually doing the work.
Absolutely. Now I call you Mr. Everywhere because that's where you are. You're everywhere. Now, considering that you're everywhere, what makes you think how is that going to affect being everywhere and doing this? Is it going to be an overload for you? Or
No.
how do you project the balance of those things?
Of course, the elected office takes priority.
Yes.
I mean, you're serving the community, that has to be your first priority. And as well as the organizations that I'm involved in. You have to balance everything to make sure that everything stays going. But I've got a good group of people that are involved with me that'll help up wherever I need them. So if I have to step back from something a little bit, somebody else will fill in.
Awesome.
And still be involved. And as you said, I'm everywhere and I'm available
really are.
anytime. So
You really are.
You know, that's, you just
You've
gotta
helped
keep that
out
idea
church as
going.
if you were here. So you really, no, he really is. He's really everywhere. But the question is, why now? What made you get involved? You haven't really, to my knowledge, you hadn't really jumped into anything of this magnitude before. Why now?
No, I haven't. I've been involved in a lot of organizations for a lot of years.
Right.
Different charitable organizations, different community organizations. But at this point, we have one of our councilmen is retiring. So there's going to be an open seat. Now's the time. Get involved. Let's shape the next generation and see where we can go with it.
Was that your idea, or did somebody want you involved?
I've been approached by a few people asking if I was going to run for office on numerous occasions, and at first I kind of just brushed them off. I mean, if you asked somebody that knew me 30 years ago if I'd ever be involved in politics, they would have laughed.
Right, I heard someone say that once.
But at the same point, the more involved you get with the community, the more you start to see these organizations.
Right.
You need to take the next step. You need to go for the elected official. You need to go farther into it. And as I said before, jump in with both feet. Get involved with it on the political level and shape the entire community.
Awesome. In the Bible, we have a word that is used in the Bible, boldness, to have boldness. And it's a political term which means frankness of speech, to be able to speak out because you're operating in your full citizenship. That's the epitome of what you've been talking about, I believe, tonight, is not boldness in being in any type of way abrupt or rude, but more in the sense of get involved, ask the question, stand up, be heard, be seen, and be a part.
Well, you have to be willing to put yourself out there.
Yes, sir.
And bold I know the context you're using it in, but
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are going to look at it from a negative context.
Right.
What you have to shape that as is bold as in being not afraid to stand out, not afraid to take the step,
Exactly.
walk out on stage and do what you have to do.
Walk out there and
Walk
do it.
out in front of the people, say what you have to say what you want to, what your opinion is, and listen to their opinions. You got to do both sides of it. You have to listen and talk.
Well,
But you
that's
can't be
a good
afraid-
point.
You can't be afraid to step out there and do it.
Now, again, when we step out, because that was really good, I really enjoyed that. When we step out, we have to also be willing to hear. Because there are a lot of people, and like you said, they'll hear boldness and they'll see it in a negative connotation. But the idea is to be able to speak out and also be able to listen up. So
From
that we
any
can
community
learn.
leader, that is one thing that you absolutely have to do. You can't dictate.
Right.
You have to, you're there to make the decisions. Yes, you're an elected official, you're there to make the decisions. But you have to listen to everyone, listen to their opinion, combine all of those opinions, and then make your decision.
Absolutely.
So you have to be able to listen more than you talk. So.
Hey, 2 ears, 1 mouth, right?
Exactly.
So the election's in November.
Yes.
And there's how many seats available?
3 seats available.
3 seats available. And this must be a very exciting time for your family, especially you talked about your son. Usually if you see Bob, you see his son. It's just amazing he's not here right now, but you're always together. And for him, this must be exciting because he has ambitions in the political.
His ambition is to be Secretary of State at some point.
Right.
He enjoys politics. He enjoys the whole realm of it and talking to people and everything else. So he's been with me through all of this, and he'll be with me through the election. And yes, he is excited about it, and he's thrilled that I actually stepped up and ran.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I've been approached a couple of times, and I never really went further with it. But he's thrilled that I actually jumped in, and I'm
sure
going for
he
it.
Is his passion for politics, did it play a role in you making the decision?
Yes.
Awesome.
I I want to show the example for him. I mean, okay, we do a lot of these events together, we do a lot of these charitable things together, but where can I take it to the next step? And that is by community service and by public office. So that's his ambition to go into someday. Let's show him how it does it on the local level, and maybe he can do it on the national level.
Talk to us a little bit about yourself.
15 going on 80. Very, very well spoken, very loves music, loves to perform, likes to be out in front of people, likes to talk to people.
Yeah.
Is just as comfortable talking to his friends as he is talking to a congressman or a judge or a senator.
Yeah.
And he's met all of them, so he's very comfortable talking with them. Very well spoken, very
he is
very
very
intelligent,
articulate.
has a great future ahead of him, and very kind soul and very focused on what he wants to do. So I have no doubt he will get further.
Oh
in
no,
politics.
he's definitely, he's the material. He's the real deal.
He's learning the photography end of it with me now. He's been doing events with me for the last couple of years.
And he's got a bit of an eye now.
He does have a good eye. He's got a great eye. I've had him cover events for me when I'm tied up and I can't be there. I've sent him on events and does excellent with it.
Wow.
Likes to perform. Second Friday Art Walk he's been performing at for the last couple of years. Has done.
He's an old soul.
He is.
He is an
exactly.
old soul.
Exactly.
You know, while other kids want to get involved in different things, he's thinking politics and, religion, apologetics and things of that nature. Those are the type of things. And just a thinker all the way around. But that is indicative of you and your wife.
But he wants to get out and talk to people. He's not afraid to approach people.
Oh, no.
He's not afraid to talk to anybody that he sees. And that will take him far in life.
It will, and he's a good example. I know we're talking about your son a bit much, but he's a good example of, even at his age, he's a very good example of the ability to speak up, but be willing to listen.
Yes.
Because he really does hear the objective view or the counter view, if you would, very well, and still move forward. And again, I attribute that to you and your wife and the things that he's been able to see. And for me, that's a key point for our audience to understand that when we look at a candidate for representation, we have to look in their home first and see how they've handled domestic issues. If your domestic campaign is tight, then your community campaign is probably going to represent and see a lot of the same similar factors.
Yes.
And so that's really exciting. In a dream scenario for you, what happens in this whole election and what happens with DuPont?
Ideally, I do win the election in November. I take one of the 3 council seats and serve the community for at least the next 4 years, if not beyond. Help shape the community and where it's going and do more good things for DuPont.
Wow. Wow. Now, I know this is not a popular thing. Have you been struck with opposition to you running?
There are some, yes. But there are other candidates. I mean, there's 3 seats open, there's 5 people running.
Awesome.
So there is opposition out there, and it's up to the people who they want to choose and how they want the government to run.
Absolutely. But you need to know you need to ask questions about how the government is run so you know the people that are run it.
You need to get to know the candidates. You need to get to know the people that are your mayor, that are your council, that are your other offices within the borough or the city or the township or whatever form of government you have. You need to know those people other than just a name on a card on election day.
Exactly.
Approach them, talk to them, get to know them.
Or a face that you know.
Right.
Or a face that you know, because I mean, you're Mr. Everywhere, but that doesn't mean you're a great candidate. You're a great candidate because of who you are, not where you've been. In terms of being a visual person, you are a good source of visual aids. Oh, I know that guy. If you don't know you, you know you. You just be like, I know him, the mustache and and the pitch and the camera. Yeah, I know him. And the son, the guitar. Yeah, I know. And the wife, I got it. But outside of that, who you are in terms of your availability and your contributions, I think that's major. And that's the idea of the pulse, to have a finger on who has their finger on the pulse of the community, who really cares about the community, who was doing the job before the seats were available. That's the question. Who was already there? A lot of times people say, oh, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to do. But you'll always find people in your community, way before there was any seat or election, you find a person that's just always doing, without the recognition, without the acknowledgement, without the kudos, nobody running around waving a banner, and that's Bob Price.
And you also have to lead by example too. You can have a lot of great ideas. You can tell people what you want them to do. You can tell, but you have to be willing to get out there and do it, and just get involved with it. Get your hands dirty. Get the job done. Pitch in wherever you need to do, and just go for it.
Well, I think the idea of pitching in is really nice, and not so much from the standpoint of just helping, but to pitch in also means that there's someone else who has an idea. There's someone else who has an agenda and a format that they're already working on. Can you follow that and not just come with an idea? There are a lot of people who just say, oh, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. Okay, that's fine, that's great, we're going to get to that. This is what we're doing now. Can you contribute to that? Right. And if you can contribute to that, then maybe we'll be open to other things.
You have something that works, continue doing it.
Exactly. If it's not broke, don't
But
fix
at
it.
the same point, don't block out ideas. Listen to every other idea. Maybe that can be modified a little bit. Maybe there's a couple things can be changed on it that'll make it work even better. If it's not working, change it. Make it work. But if something's working, you got to be able to just blend in with it. Take your ideas, meld it with theirs, and keep going. Get people's opinions too. Other people in the community have ideas. Let them come forward and say, okay, well, how about we do this? How about we do that?
Absolutely.
Some of it we could do, some of it we can't do. But when you mix it all together, that's when your best result's going to come out.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. If you're the smartest, at all times. Come on, you can't be the smartest guy in the room at all times. You're not learning.
And you have to be, and you also can't have the opinion that you know what's going on and you don't need to listen to people.
No.
You need to listen to everyone and their opinions, because no matter what their position is in life, they have good ideas.
Sure.
You got to listen to everybody and meld those ideas together into one.
Well, that's the whole epitome of the Post. So you can get your hands on each and everything that's going on. As many events as my wife and I have time to schedule, we try to make ourselves available so that people know what's going on in the community. Oh yeah, I remember he talked about this. I remember he talked about that. My wife is doing interviews coming up with some key people in the community, because we want other people to know what they're doing, how they're moving, what their ideas are, and what their success rates have been so far. Because it doesn't always, but it speaks to where things could go in the future.
Not everything works every time.
Exactly.
But at the same point, you got to look at it and say, okay, what did work, what didn't work, and where do we need to go from here? And just pick up the pieces and go from there.
Your wife, what's down the line for her? Is she thinking in terms of positions and?
She may be in the future. She's considering it.
No, what does she do right now?
Right now, she has her jewelry line that she's been promoting.
Which is very
And,
nice, by the way. Amazing. She was at the.
She was at the River Fest with us there, and
Riverfest,
she'll be
yeah.
doing a craft show up at Scenario and a couple other shows and that in the area.
When is that going to be?
I'm not sure.
Not
when
sure off the
it's
back of
October.
my head?
I know it's in October. I don't remember the exact date, but
We'll keep you posted on it.
and also the Duryea, their Christmas celebration, she'll be at that. But she's been doing a lot of the jewelry. But the main thing is just with John, working with him, guiding him. That's been her main focus for the last 15 years.
A career, what was her path? What was she doing, and what was
Her degree is in speech therapy. She was a speech therapist and
Right.
worked in
That's what I
schools
was
for many
aiming at.
years.
Wow.
And then once we adopted John, she kind of stepped back from the working world and
And
has been
adopted
focusing
John.
on him.
Yeah.
So,
and
and he's more than enough to keep her busy.
Oh
so.
yes, he is. But a good handful.
Yes.
He's a good handful. But I think she'll be a tremendous asset too, as you guys are moving forward. You guys think well, you talk well, you communicate with each other, you challenge each other in healthy ways to see things in a different view, and I think that's good. My wife and I try to mimic that as much as we can to just challenge the thought. Did you think that all the way out? Did you think that all the way through? And I think that's healthy for John. I know it's healthy for John and for our kids, because they see us come up with ideas and they know we're doing things like this, and then they see us talk it through and they're like, well, you and mommy disagreeing? Are we just challenging each other's theory on what we're talking about? Because we need to be able to see if we've considered everything that we needed to consider. I mean,
But then you work it through to the best result.
work it through to get the best result. Bob, I'm so excited you came tonight. Thank you
Thank you
so
very much. Thanks
and
for having
it was
me.
funny because we tried to have you before, and we had a million different things going on, and you're just incredibly patient to come back and be with
No
us.
problem at all.
No,
No
I
problem at
really
all.
appreciate it. It speaks volumes to who he is and how he does things. It really does. Each person has to know the people that they're voting for. Whoever is who's running for the seats, get to know them. Find out not just who they are, find out what they believe in. Find out what they stand for, how committed they are for the things that they stand for. Some people can talk about being behind something, but that's where they'll be behind, way far behind. Others will be hands-on. They'll be right there. They'll get the information, and if they can't find the answer, they'll let you know, hey, I'll get back to you. Bob's one of those guys that'll get back to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for
Great
having me.
friend.